dreams that we have for our life and the calling that we think God's calling to us can be super confusing, because sometimes it can be very life-giving and fulfilling, and it looks like success is happening all around you, and other times it looks like everything is dead. At least it's been my experience. Has that been yours? Like, where sometimes it's stuff that God's asked you to do is lots of fruit to it, and then other times not much. And today we're going to talk about the different seasons you're in your calling and in your dreams, and because it's really important to know what season you're in, because we have different activities that we need to do in those seasons. So let's dive in real quick. The first one we're going to discover is fall. The season of fall, honestly, is my favorite, just as a guy. Like, I love to hunt and I love to fish. It's beautiful in the fall. Both things are on point. And that is when we have a dream, that's when the harvest happens. That's everything's kind of went throughout the season. And in the fall is when you have the fruits of your labor. And when we think about a dream, oftentimes this is the season we're thinking about. This is the season we're waiting for. And this is the season we're judging all activity by. But it takes a lot to get to fall. And so when you're in this harvest season, this is where, honestly, just enjoy, look back at what God has done in your life. That's what we kind of should do in this season. But let's go to the next season, because I think this can be the most discouraging season. At least it has been for my life, and that is winter. You know, I'm here in the Pacific Northwest, and winters are cold, dark, and wet. And if you look at the deciduous trees around us, like, it looks like they're dead. Leaves are gone. And when we're walking on a dream, honestly, this is times where if we're not careful, we'll give up on it because it looks dead. It looks like nothing's happening. But it's not the truth. You know, 2 Corinthians 5:7, one of my favorite verses, tells us to walk by faith and not by sight. This is a super important thing in this season. But there's also another thing. If you are in a winter season of your life, if we don't capture it, it can really cause us to fail in other seasons of our life. And that's this. In winter, it's a time of letting the ground rest. Like, rest. This is not the time where you're going to push it so hard that you're going to yellow light your life. Like, we're headed towards disaster if that happens, because there's busier seasons ahead. And in the winter of your dream, at times where it doesn't really feel like anything's happening, continue to be faithful in it, but also rest, because spring is coming. And if you garden at all, when spring happens, it is so stinking busy. Spring is the next season I want to discuss, because we should have rested in winter, because we need to be prepared in spring, because everything's growing in spring. You go from rest and nothing happening to all of a sudden busy life is happening everywhere. Again, in the Northwest, all of a sudden the bees are out and going around like crazy. If you're gardening, the plants are coming to full fruition, but there's something else happening. Weeds are coming up. Things that you don't want in your life are going to come up. And when you're in springtime, it is a time of everything growing. And so in your life, if you're in a season of spring, you need to be very comfortable with a word that many of us aren't comfortable with. 2 letters in it, not very complicated, but it's hard for some of us to say. And repeat me with me, it's no. No. So in springtime, you're going to have lots of opportunities. There's going to be lots of things, sometimes good things happening, that we need to get really good at saying no, so that we can focus our energy on what God has called us to in that moment. See, not every opportunity is a good opportunity. Sometimes good opportunities are distractions. And if you're in a springtime, please say no. You know, as in my family, I've got young kids. That's a springtime of my family unit right now. They're in sports. They're in drama, band, leadership. There is a lot of different activities happening in our home. It is busy. And as a dad and a husband, those things need to take priority. And so I'm having to say no to opportunities, no to good things, because they aren't the thing God called me to in this season. And so if you're not aware that you're in spring and you're saying yes, 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 eventually all of it's going to get choked out because you're going to be exhausted and running on fumes. So if you are in spring, you got to get comfortable with no. And it's not a cuss word. It's not a bad word. No is a complete sentence sometimes, and it's okay to say it. The next season is summer. You know, this is where stuff's still growing. In fact, the sun is shining hot. Sometimes a little too hot. In fact, one of my least favorite things is by the end of August, you know, what people don't know a lot about the Northwest is it rains a lot, but it does not rain a lot for about 3.5 months. It doesn't rain much at all. So by the end of August, I'm always regretting how big I made my garden because I'm so tired of watering. You know, if you are in summer season in your life, with the dreams God's placed in your life, you are going to have to do a lot of watering. This looks like you paying extra careful to the dreams and watering it. For example, I just said in my life, I'm in springtime in my family unit where there's lots of kids' activities. If I am not careful, I can neglect the things that are even more important than my kids. If you're watching, kids, I still love you. And that's my walk with God, number one. And number two, my walk with my wife. Those things need to be in priority. And that's like watering our garden in the summer. It takes intentional effort. And honestly, in that season, it's just as busy as the spring, but the summer heat is making it so weeds don't pop up, so the good opportunities might not pop up, but it still requires a lot of attention, just a little bit different of attention. So sometimes we can get distracted by stuff looking dead that's still alive in one season. In another season, a lot of good opportunities. And in another season, a good thing that was growing good, but we stopped paying attention to it. So make sure you know what season you're in. It can save you a lot of heartache. You know, one of the best ways we can know what season we are in is talking to God. So if you haven't heard from God in a while, that's kind of a problem because it's harder to tell what season you're in when the Holy Spirit's not speaking to you. So if you haven't heard from Him in a while, watch this video. It'll really help you take those earmuffs off so that you can hear the Creator of the universe because He's speaking to you, my friend. Have a great day, and God bless you.